grandson Noah, and his father Ed. And then Bill, I'll let you introduce. We'll just pass it around.
Gloria, DeAndre, and Angela. And their children, Claire, and this is Katie. And then my son Andrew and his wife Joy, DeAndre. Their children, Casey and Nicholas. You see Noah is over here. And then Natalie. And
Now, Gloria, how many children do you have altogether?
I have 3 other sons. I have 5 children. My daughter is the oldest, and then 4 sons. I have, let's see, Christopher is the oldest of my sons, and he lives in Cleveland. He works for the Cleveland Clinic. He's in sports medicine. Let's see, his wife is, she works for the Cleveland Browns, and she's from Philadelphia. Her father is a retired policeman, or I think he's still, I don't think they ever retired. In Italian. Their last name is Scro, or her last name is Scro. And then my next son is Tony DeAndre, who is married to, let's see, you guys have to help me.
She's Australian.
The Australian, and her name is Marati. Her last name is Marati. Her father is from Italy. He's went to Australia right after the war, and they have no children, and they're living in England. He's graduated from the University of Cincinnati with a degree in architecture. Then, let's see, then my next one is Andy, as far as the boys go. And then my son Dominic, who is marrying a girl from Laos, in Portland, Oregon. He's industrial design, graduated from UC, and her name is Chum, and she has a graphic art degree from UC also. So, there you go.
Very good. Andrea?
I'm Andrea Luck. I'm Tootsie's daughter, one of her daughters. This is my daughter Tracy, and my granddaughter Mary is over here. I have a son, Tony, and he and his wife Megan couldn't make it this evening. This is my sister Miriam's daughter Carrie McDonald, her son Michael McDonald, Michael's son Colin, and they have a brother Mark and his wife Lisa who are expecting. They couldn't be here this evening. And my husband Dave also, I said, he's not here. And then there's my sister Pat, who's in California. And that's about it. All right.
Okay. All right, Bobby, you want to go next with the...
Oh, I don't know if I remember all the names. This is not my wife. This is Carol Comello, Jerry's sister. And let's see, we have some of our children here. Our twins are sitting opposite each other, Jennifer and Beth. Okay, and their husbands are at the ball game tonight. And our youngest daughter, Courtney, is next to Jennifer, and her husband, Greg Martin. Greg's from Warren, Ohio. They got together and met each other in Miami, and have been traveling around the U.S. a little bit. And then next to Courtney is Bridget Davis. Bridget's our third daughter. And our son is not here, Rob. He's at the game also. Yeah. That's got us. Yeah. We have Jamie here, who's John Comello, who is, of course, Jerry and Jim's brother, one of his daughters, one of his twins.
Carol's brother.
Huh? Carol's brothers too. Right. You're right. Why am I doing this? You should do this. You're the Comello.
I wondered when you were going to
West
figure
Side.
that out.
You do this.
We're done, that's it. But we're having our 12th grandchild in December.
Yes.
All right, Al, it's your turn. Your turn, Al.
Well, Lee, she's the oldest. Lee.
Where's Lee?
Lee.
Al, defer to you.
Al, you're too far away.
Comello Reed, and where do I start? Okay, I'm from Florida. I own 2 health food stores. I have 8 children, 15 grandchildren, and they are all living in Florida. And the grandchildren are all in my town. And I think somebody else yesterday asked if it was fun, and I said sometimes it's too much fun. But anyway, Carol is my sister, and Carol Comello Tar, and she has 2 sons, and Chris and Ty. And Chris lives in Colorado, Ty lives in Indianapolis, where Carol's from. And then Al, who is from Sedona, Arizona, via St. Louis, via Cincinnati. And his wife Sedona, Arizona. And I'm telling you all this now because you all have somebody to visit. He's an awesome tour guide, so if anybody wants to, just call him first before you show up. He has 2 children. Let me see now. Wendy and his son, Rick. And Rick's from St. Louis, and I think his daughter's now moved to Washington State somewhere. And Doug Comello, and he lives in Sicily. And his wife recently passed away, so he's available. And he has no children, but he has lots of nieces and nephews, and he can adopt anyone at any time. And we have Dave, who's not here. He's the youngest son, youngest brother, and he stayed home to watch the races or something. And then we have my sister Dawn, who's the youngest one. She has a daughter, one daughter, Brooke. She lives in Moscow, Ohio, and she couldn't be here tonight either. And I'm really happy. We're all really happy to be here. We really are. Because you wouldn't believe how long we've waited to meet the family we never knew. So we're really thankful that you are all here.
Jimmy? You got a brother?
This
Jimmy.
is your call, yeah.
All right, that's my brother, Jimmy. This is my sister-in-law.
Okay, so lovely, very nice. My wife, Barbara. We have 2 sons, Nicholas and Craig. They are at the ball game. They would choose baseball over the meatballs. I'm what? Oh, we have 5 grandchildren. That's it.
That Barb watches every day.
Then I'm Jerry and my wife Karen. Please stand up to a little school. And my daughter Annie is here. Joe and his wife are back in a new house in what is it? Silver Spring, Maryland. They just bought one of those 1,200 square foot Center Hall Colonial 1946 $300 and some thousand dollars.
You're truly in favor.
Yeah, truly in favor. Well, it's terrible. Well, okay. That's everybody that's here. The genesis of this was a request by Al, who had come across a great deal of footage taken from the early 1920s straight through the 40s at some time, and maybe even to the 50s. I guess initially by his grandfather, and then maybe by your father or some of the other people took these films. None of us had seen them before or seen much of them, seen parts. They exist now. For everyone's benefit here, what Al was offered to do is to create a tape or a CD eventually in which those pieces of the film that are relevant to other than just the baseball games, but to family members, can be created, and they can be overwritten with a voiceover that identifies the events and the people in which that you will see it. We're very dependent upon our guest of honor, Tootsie, because we don't know these people. And if I don't know him, no, you don't know him. Cross my heart and kiss my elbow. But Tootsie may know. there's a sequence in there for about 6 minutes in which Tootsie is dancing. Dancing at the dinner party. And there is a woman who's almost as pretty as Tootsie, who cuts a better rug than Tootsie does. But nobody knows who she is except Tootsie. She dances right before you, and nobody knows who she is. But many people would like to.
It was Tootsie just changed outfits.
Yeah, could be Tootsie changing outfits. But what Al's going to do is later on this evening, he's going to interview Tootsie with his camera, take that information down. After he's collated it and put it on, not a CD yet, but a tape, I would imagine. He's going to ship that tape to Frankie. And Frank's going to take that and give it to Tootsie and interact with Tootsie so that she can identify, to the extent she's possible, that's capable of identifying who else is in there. Because there are a lot of people in there that you won't know because it's taken long. That's the game plan. And we owe that all to Al's initiative on behalf of his family and having offered to do that for us, and we'll all benefit from it. So I think we all owe him a hand.
Yeah, because she'll wear her sunglasses.
Okay, so
You know what I mean? And, but I could talk loud.
well, talk like that just for a
Is
second.
that okay? Can you hear it okay?
Well, I can hear it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rewind it and play it and see if I hear you.
Yeah, I think you.
Actually,
I want to be prepared.
Okay.
Don't touch it, honey. Careful. Careful, honey.
Lee. Lee. Just sit down.
Okay. Is this one yours? He's a doll baby. Who's he belong to?
Yes.
And look at this. He's got a little teddy bear there. Oh, isn't he cute? Careful, honey. I don't want you falling. See, I have to use this, honey.
Okay, so Tootsie.
Yes, sir.
So I am.
Oh, wait, what did she do with? Oh, here it is.
So I am taping right now, and
Oh, you are?
so the whole idea is just to talk. What I'm curious about. You knew my dad, our dad, when he was a kid, because you two are about the same age.
Just about,
Dad
yeah.
and Al. Yeah. And where did you live?
At that time, I lived in Hyde Park.
He lived in Hyde Park.
I lived in Hyde Park. In fact, I was married at St. Mary's Church in Hyde Park.
So she was born in the same year as Dad was, 1916.
I was born in 1916.
Okay.
So they were exactly the same age, same year. So
1916.
did you ever get much together with my dad's family? Did you ever have Al?
No, he was busy with his. Al was busy flying the airplane. Then when he had to give that up, then he was with that small airplane that he owned. And the only time my husband and I would drive down there, and he wanted to take us to take people. Can I say anything I want?
You can talk anything you want. There is no.
Oh, okay. And he said that he opened up a place where people could go and get a ride over Cincinnati for 5 or 10 minutes. And he wanted to take me one day. I said, no, thank you, Al. I do not like to fly. And he was American Airlines without all that fancy. That was going way back, you know. And no, he was a very sweet person, and he had lovely parties there. Family reunions like this. And he had a horse and a buggy, believe it or not, and take kids on a ride around that yard.
I think it was actually.
I think you're thinking about a tractor, wasn't it?
Tractor.
Huh?
It was a tractor.
A tractor.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, darling.
But yeah, a tractor and a big
Well, now when you go
wagon.
back that far and as old as I am, kaboom.
So when you go back to remembering old Christmases and things on when you were in grade school or high school and
Well,
all
see,
that.
back in those days, sweetheart, everybody had their own thing. This is fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. They're also friendly, the children, everybody. And Miss Albert here, Alberto, is very sweet. That I'm shooting off my mouth, and I told you why I shoot my mouth off, didn't I?
Well, she brushed her teeth with gunpowder.
You're fine. You're okay.
Did you get that? She brushed her teeth with gunpowder this
Oh,
morning?
that's okay.
So she
So
could...
I
I'm
can,
waiting.
well, okay, doll baby. I brushed my teeth with gunpowder this morning.
How is it that you know, we were talking about our great-grandfather and his wife Mary, and they're the ones that came from Italy, and then Gus and all that. How is it that, who told the stories back then of
Uncle Gus being
well, not just Uncle Gus, but any of the stories about the early days? Who was the talker? Was it, see, so you were born in 16, and Mary, she was alive until you were like 12. Yeah, do you remember her?
Honey, back there, they outspoke and said everything. Nobody took somebody to a corner and talked.
So everybody said everything.
Everything. It was just, that's how I knew everything I know. They didn't sit me down in a corner.
Dad had to.
Okay, I'm with you.
It's just like a family, thing.
Now, who told you about Gus and the woman dying on the boat? Who told you those?
Well, that was probably told to me by my own mother and father.
Mother and father.
It's sort of a story, family story.
Family story, yeah. That she was coming over, I told you that already. And she was coming over, and she was going to Chicago, actually. And he was with Al Capone. He was mafia. I will tell you that. His father.
Oh!
Whose father?
Gus. Gus's father was in Chicago, and he was part of the mob.
In charge of them. It was not in charge, he was in the mob. I can't remember the name. That aggravates me. I don't, it's been such a long, I was just a little kid.
Yeah, sure.
So he came over from Italy and ended up in Chicago in the mob.
Got to Chicago with the mob, and she was over there, and evidently had the baby pregnant because he was, I think Uncle Gus was about, maybe he was around, I think he was around a year or a year and a half.
I've been told a year and a half.
Yeah, I was going to say about a year and a half. And there he was, and my grandma, Comello, Mary, and this lady, and I don't know her name, but they were friends. And my grandmother might have had a child. I don't really know that either. I thought our kids were all born here. She had 15 kids.
According to what we've been able to determine, she had no children when she came here.
And she had them all here, but I guess they might have been born. And
the first one was about 2 years after she got here, and that was
Charles.
That was Charles.
That would be Uncle
Born
Charlie.
in 1890.
Yeah, that would be my Uncle Charlie. And he just took to me like crazy. He'd take me every place with him. He never married, to my knowledge now, but he was never married. But there was that Uncle Charlie, as I said, and Uncle Big Joe, and Uncle Tony, and Aunt Teresa, and my mother, Anna.
That's interesting. Was there ever much conversation about how tough life was when they first got here to Cincinnati for your grandma Mary?
No, I never heard too much about that. They had what kind of a store? Downtown.
Produce store. Produce? Like a grocery store or a produce store?
Yeah, that's it. A food place.
Yeah.
And then after that, and of course Uncle Gus was getting older and their kids were getting older and whatever. And then they moved now that's the only place that I know they moved. And he was on Observatory Road in Hyde Park.
Right.
A beautiful road, beautiful home. And then he somehow or other got into the tailoring business. Don't ask me that, my father was too. But he was in the tailoring business, and he went right to the top. He ran 3 floors at the Power Building.
I understood that. In downtown.
Downtown. Well, you know everything I'm telling you.
No, we want to hear it, though. We want to hear it. on tape.
Yeah, and then those three, and then he started the baseball. Uncle Tony. Then he started the baseball team, and that was the first amateur baseball team here in the city of Cincinnati that brought the trophy. They must have had 20 trophies they won, and they traveled. Amateur baseball, that is. And I had a cousin, Little Joe, that played. Eddie Hunter, another one. He was a cousin. And Marie was his daughter. Uncle Gus's Marie Hunter was Uncle Gus's daughter. And then he had a son, still
Frankie. Uncle Frankie. You're not well. Frankie was Gus's son. He had Joe, he had Frankie, he had Gus, and Marie.
And Marie, I was right.
And you said that you thought that Carrie had gotten mad at Frankie and pushed him down the stairs.
Well, that's what I heard. That Carrie, that was his first.
Right, his first wife.
And like you said, kind of messed around a little bit. But anyway, and that was his first one, and she got mad, and I think she was mad at him about something, and she shoved him. He was just a little tiny toddler. He couldn't have been maybe a year or something, and she shoved him down the steps, and he broke his foot, and he had to wear one of those big high heels all of it the rest of his life.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you think the reason he was crippled was not a disease, but
oh no, she pushed him down the steps. Now that's in
on these movies that you're going to see, you'll see some movies of Frankie, and when he's a young man, and you'll see how crippled he was. I mean, he had a hard time walking.
Now wait a minute, you're speaking of. Oh, Frankie, that's the one that
Gus's and Carrie's.
Guy, yeah.
Now, who told you the story that he might have been pushed down the stairs?
From them talking, and I'm sitting there as a kid, and I absorbed everything. And these things, there's some things you remember, and something, but I remembered that because I was that way. But I always remembered that because, I was raised. I was just that way. But I always worried about anybody, especially young, being injured, hurt, having a problem. I've always been that way all my life. And I still am. Carrying that, I'll still try to help.
She said she didn't like her.
Oh no, she was nasty.
Carrie, she was not a nice person. Whatever happened to her?
Well, that's a good. Well, I heard that she had remarried somebody, who I don't know. He wasn't an Italian, but she married somebody. But after that,
who knows?
You give up on it then, Albert, because you don't go on with their lives. But I'd heard that she had remarried. I don't know if it was German or whatever.
Now, of course, you were born in 1916, so you were a teenager right around 1930. What was it like here in Cincinnati?
Well, it was good for me. I had a wonderful father and a super duper mother, 3 great brothers, and I took in the 30s. You said. Now wait a minute. Yeah, because I danced on every stage in Cincinnati. I won a scholarship for singing, not since I started this, but anyway, from a teacher at Withrow High School, Mr. Serto. He was an Italian, Mr. Serto, maybe you heard of him. And he was stooped over one day. He said, "I want to see you." I said, "Oh my goodness, what did I do?" And then when I went back, he says, "I think you should go down to the College of Music and see Mr. Gorno, or not Mr. Gorno, but one of the teachers there. Jacinta Gorno was Mr. Serto." But anyway, he says, "I want you to go down," he says, "and I want you to come back to my office." And they told me, "Go down and see them." I got a scholarship for singing, and I was a lyric soprano. Then after that, I went into dancing, and I studied with Francois Bathe, and another one, she was, I think, from Russia or something like that. And then I danced on every stage in the city of Cincinnati. I could do the Spanish dance with the castanets. I was a ballerina on points. I did the gypsy dance with the tambourine, and Mom got me castanets from over in Spain with a beautiful shawl, two of them, a red one and a yellow one, and I did the Spanish dance.
Interesting. You know, we're all members of the Comello family. That's Al and Thelma. You know, we all are. We went through our whole life not really knowing Big Joe and his kids, and that. You know, we were always kept separate. You know, we lived in Mount Washington, and we never met people at reunions or picnics or anything.
Isn't that dumb?
We didn't know anybody.
You didn't know anybody. Do you have a reason? Do you know why we were kept so separate from the rest of the family?
Why? No, I don't, darling.
No, I don't either. I was just wondering.
I'm trying to think. And you were Al's son.
Al's son, Al's daughter, Al's daughter.
Because some people didn't. This is what how you hear it. They didn't really like Al because his father wasn't really their uncle.
He wasn't the real McCoy. Everybody knew that. We thought that might have been the reason.
And yeah, which is stupidity. Then little Joe, or one of them, I don't know if he's a grandfather, but one of his, I don't know if it was his, not his son, his grandson, maybe it was his grandson that married an Indian girl. And everybody, man, and she called me up one day. I didn't know who
Now
she
you're
was.
talking about you're talking about, not Little Joe, but you're talking about...
Not Uncle Big Joe.
No, you're not talking about Big Joe, but Little Joe married a woman
I don't know who he
by the name of Lola Pearlman.
Yeah, that's right. Little Joe did that.
Yes, she was not the Indian.
No. This was one of
Now
the
he
children.
had a brother, he had a son, and his son married Shirley Robinson.
But she does a good job. She's picking up on it good. You got to interview her out.
But who was the Indian girl?
I can't think of her name.
Well, who do you think she was married to?
Huh?
Who do you think she might have been married to?
She was married. I don't know if it was. She told me because nobody would talk to her because she was Indian.
So the family stuck close together, and the Comellos were the Comellos.
Yeah.
But Gus wasn't really a Comello, so.
But he's the one that went right to the top.
So didn't that make people feel funny? He's the one that had all the money and the jobs, but he wasn't really a Comello.
Yeah, I think that was the whole thing in a nutshell.
You think that was sort of a problem? I guess.
He was what?
Was it a problem? Do you think for people?
No, he had a lot of friends.
Gus had a lot of friends.
Yeah, Gus had a lot of friends, and he had a lot of Jewish friends.
Yes, Mr. Goldberg.
And there was another one. Goldberg, and there's another one. And they thought he wasn't stupid, and they went into that business where he was trying to take it over. You know what I mean? They were trying to take it over. Is what they were trying to do.
Goldberg?
Goldberg, and what was the other one's name? I can't think. See, I can't think when I'm under pressure.
But it didn't work, right?
Now, we were wondering, do you think our dad, Al, knew that his dad was adopted?
Was adopted.
Adopted. Do you think he knew that Gus was adopted and was not born?
You mean your father?
Do you think he knew it?
I'm just trying to think. And, honey, he wasn't stupid.
Yeah, no. If it was so common,
that I think that he probably down the years, because down the years as he was growing up, he found out that he wasn't his father.
Because nobody ever mentioned it, and my mom never mentioned it.
Our family,
We never knew it. We never knew it until recently.
And if my mom knew it, she and I are sure that we would have known.
she would have said it. So we don't think
Now your mom, and that's Al's wife.
Thelma.
You're his kids. Thelma was her name. See now.
She was blonde, remember?
Blonde, yeah. I've always remembered blondes because I like blondes. Which I like blonde. But no, that was nice, and everybody made a federal case when he got that big house.
In Mount Washington? that
She
funny?
likes that big one. She liked that big house.
Yeah.
So you think other people in the family thought it was sort of strange that Al bought that big house? No.
Well, honey, it's kind of hard to say for me to say. I think that see now, if your dad knew, and I think he did down the years, Uncle Gus wasn't his father, because I just don't think that. I think that they might have known it.
He would have had to have heard it somewhere.
Not right away. But then when he, and let's see, who was your mother's name again?
Thelma.
Thelma. No, because he then, well, that's Al. I'm thinking of Uncle Gus. No, I go to Uncle Gus and however many women he went with and married.
Uncle Gus?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean our grandpa, or you mean grandpa's son Gus?
He's talking about our
Grandpa.
Yeah, he was
philanderer.
Yes, he was, honey bun. He sure was. He sure was.
Now, she did say, however, he took really good care of his mother, though.
Oh my God! Did he take care of grandma, my grandma too, Mary? And he got her this beautiful home.
On Observatory? The one on Observatory?
On Observatory. Then he bought her an 8-seated Packard passenger car.
8-seat Packard.
8-seat. He had those kind of pull out. Well, he didn't have just 2. He had 3 of them that come out. 3, 6, and then 3. And 8. Yeah, he bought that for her.
It's interesting.
For my grandma, his mother.
Now, in some of these movies that you'll see, I think you'll see the car. I have a memory of the car in this movie that I'll be sending to you.
It'd be a Packard. It was red, orange.
Well, this is black and white, so I don't know.
Well, that's true. They didn't have colors. How are you, doll baby?
I'm sorry, I don't mean to
Oh no, that's it.
Real well. But I don't think I knew your mom real well. Because I can't remember her even being there at those picnics. I think she was gone. Did she die early?
No, she was there. She was at, one of them was their 50th anniversary.
How old was she when she passed away?
She was old, but she was not very healthy. She was pretty unhealthy at the time. Remember? I've got some of those movies. And
see, well, maybe
she was pretty well. She was pretty much like.
Maybe she just didn't feel good, or something that she. Because your dad had him that one time, and nobody will ever forget that. And the kids had a blast. He really put on a good.
Yeah, I remember this.
And you kids are running around, and I probably see there you were, and I don't even.
No, we didn't make her, I believe that I don't know about you, but I know I felt a little ill at ease with the other side of the family because I always felt there was something wrong with us because nobody ever got together with us.
Well, they're nuts because you're a pretty young lady and sweet, and he's as sweet as he can be.
But I always felt something was wrong, and I never pushed it. I always kind of, they're there, and I accepted, but my grandfather didn't do really good things, and maybe everybody's judging me based on what he did. And so I just kind of separated myself from the family sort of on purpose, because I didn't pursue. I could have pursued, calling.
Now, where do you live?
I live in Arizona.
I live in Florida.
You do?
Nobody lives. We have one sister that stayed in Cincinnati. Everybody else left. So I tell you what we're going to do.
You know where they send me? Over there in Pakistan. What's that other one that guy?
Afghanistan.
Afghanistan.
Gonna go over and pound rocks, huh? That's good for you.
That's what they're going to do, send me over there.
I thought you were gonna send you up to Moonlight. Huh? Moonlight Gardens?
Oh, that place.
I know.
I haven't been there since.
I know.
They had.
And I won 2 tickets.
It hadn't been the same since you left.
They had a band of music last night at Moonlight Gardens. We drove past it and saw it on the sign.
Doesn't that make it neat?
It's still there.
And her husband played in the big band, or what did
He had his own big band.
Yeah. So
He
would
was
he play there?
Quite the dancer.
He was a trombonist. What'd you say?
You were quite the dancer.
Yeah.
Now, I saw you on Al's film when you were 16, 17 maybe? Dancing. That's all you were doing.
Yeah,
Dancing.
let's dance. I'll get
Let's
up in a
dance.
dumb, stupid room. I'm standing in front of my mirror.
Along,
and playing some-
hanging on to this.
Yeah, not that old-fashioned music though. I like the upbeat, where you can move your body and get down low and get my.
You can do that still? What do you hang on to?
I try not to, but I'm afraid of falling
She
again.
actually has very good balance, but she's afraid.
I'd be
I've
afraid
seen
too.
her stand and bend all the way over. You do have good balance. You're just afraid.
Well, what's the matter with? Yeah,
You're afraid.
I'm
That's it.
afraid.
I mean, that's fine. You're allowed to be
I'm
afraid.
afraid.
But you still do have your balance.
Well, you know-
You can't cut the rug still.
You don't want to any broken bones, so why take a chance?
Well, you know, Sweetie Potato, what happened? The first time I got injured. This girl, like I told you, Carrie, as you well know, she saw that. I think I told you kids too that thing. But anyway, and I was going into the store, and it was by people that lived in, that owned it, and I didn't know, I knew they were from over there. African, no, Pakistan?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
For-
But anyway, they were from over there.
think
And
all
I went in
convenience stores.
just to get some snacks, but she saw this $20 bill in my hand. And she said, oh, and I've seen her in her. And right, she lived right around the corner from where I live. And she says, and I said, well, come on in and I'll get you something. And she says, she said, well, no, I can get it later. I work just a couple doors up the street. Well, then when I went in, and they treated me, in fact, I got them 2 flags because people weren't going in there too often because they were from over there. And I'm not that kind of a person. But anyway, so I brought him a flag in, and I said, now put it right up there, Joe, where people could see it when they come in. And he did. Then somebody else in the family saw that and took one a little bit bigger one. But I didn't even know that. So when I went up, I didn't take one standing outside, but I took one where they're here in America, they're Americans, you know. And my God, and I didn't realize, but I think that's why the place started getting, people started coming in, and he was nice, and I guess they were nice to them because they saw the flags up there.
Yeah.
They're Americans. And I went in there one day, and he opened up his wallet. This was only, I had only been going in 3 or 4 times. And Joe, he was the top gun. And he opened up this thing, opened his wallet, and he handed me, I think it was a 10 and I was $20 or it was $30. I said, what's that for? He says, take it. And he said something, I don't know, I couldn't understand. Sometimes they'd speak in their own language and they didn't want you to know what they were saying, naturally. You know, and I gave it back to him. I said, I don't want that. But every time I go in there, they'd get me they wouldn't charge me either. And I says, come on. And I'd always take them a little thing of cookies. Not cookies, candy.
You know, a little bit of kindness goes a long way, doesn't it?
They love the cookie. And then they started getting crowded in there and packed. And then I went back there, and one time I even swept up the bathroom. It was such a mess. I go in the back and sweep up their bathroom. I said, hey kids, you better get that bathroom clean. And if I see trash, and that's just the way
Morning.
I was.
Hey, you guys need something to drink?
We're going to be eating in there, though.
Oh, the buffet. Yeah. That's all right.
I'm gonna go check and make sure
Coffee,
everything's
yeah.
set for paying. I'll be right back out.
Oh,
No, you're good out here. You're okay.
Certainly will. When did you get here?
this is my godchild. Well, I stayed all night. I liked it so well.
Did you guys already do some stuff?
Oh no, I just happened to have the camera here, so we were just chatting and
Yeah. Well, they're getting ready to go through the line in there, young lady.
What'd you call me?
Well, you should go ahead and have your.
I think you
What'd you
have
say?
you have time for a
Going
cigarette.
through- you got
No, I
something.
know that, but the last word's about me. Young lady.
Yes.
Oh, dear. George.
I didn't know
No,
you guys were
this
out
is
here.
Jerry. I don't know why I always
First
want to
one's
call
here.
him George.
Who knows what fruit the weed of evil
Jerry.
bears?
Well, we're going in. What do I hide that?
No, I'll just
right
leave it
there.
there.
Okay.
If you're comfortable out here.
What kids are you
Before you get up, can I? The money that Aunt Andrea has for you, she didn't get brunch last night, so I've got it, but I didn't stop at the money machine. So can
Well,
I?
that's what she said she took. I called her.
Did you call her this morning? Because they said that nothing's been paid, so I'll take care of it. It's mine. I didn't stop at the bank, and so can I just? I'm getting your wallet.
Oh, no. How much is it?
Just $10.
I mean, I would have brought more. You know, she's.
No. I want to pay for it.
Do you get yours for last night?
You don't have to pay.
Well, I thought my Aunt Andrea was. And then she said Aunt Andrea paid, so I didn't stop at the money machine. I had it. So.
I ain't got much in here, I'll tell you.
Is that right? So we'll take care of you this morning, young lady.
So real.
Well, I guess it's
That's
$10 a head
Okay.
today.
And then you get, we'll do this, and then I'm gonna stop at the money machine, and I'm gonna give this back to you.
Yeah.
So, okay,
But
so you
she's
just put in
taking
20.
care of it, because she takes care of
That's
my.
fine, then I'll work it out with Aunt Andrea next time, but I'm making sure that you have it back before we go home today, so that you
Well,
can get
that's
your
a bunch
lottery
of
tickets
baloney,
and
because
stuff.
I called her last night.
That's fine, that's fine.
Does she see?
She
Sure,
probably, maybe she got
serving.
confused and thought you were talking
Okay.
about dinner.
Anytime. And
Hey, Al.
probably a little more comfortable eating in here, but you can certainly come out here and smoke.
Okay, chicken pie.
How'd it go?
Oh,
I mean, last night the guys were there all distributed and that's the requirements that you have for today? Carol's
that?
going, she was going somewhere else.
Oh, they're all at the other, at the red.
So we're at this B&B, and this woman put together a breakfast this morning at
Oh, yeah.
11
Okay.
with
He looks like Uncle Joe.
salmon from Alaska that he caught. His father lives on a. By the way, here at the back of this book, I have
Oh, yeah.
all the graves here in Sicily.
Yeah, yeah.
So here,
Yeah, you sent me pictures of those.
yeah, and here's. This is over at St. Joseph.
Yeah. Right, 1928. Those are. But you've really got it different as well. You've got stuff from the cemetery.
Yes, yeah. Lee's been working on a family tree.
It's 1875.
My mother and father, you know, they talked about it. Matter of fact, a lot of people thought, honest to God, Carrie, down, I think it was down at the center, I don't know where it was, and they thought my father was with the Capone group, the mob, you know? And that's the last thing my father would have ever done.
Do you think Gus was ever in funny business?
That, honey, I couldn't tell you about Uncle Gus. I mean, I never saw anything.
Well, we didn't think either.
Now, your dad's name was, your dad's name?
My father's name was DeAndre.
What's his first name?
Frank.
Frank DeAndre. And it's
He was the tailor.
D.
He was what?
A tailor?
Yeah.
E-A.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
But he came over
like Dan,
after Uncle Gus. I mean, after Uncle Gus had his companies going. And then my dad came over. He was about 14 or 15 years
Now,
old.
where did he come from?
Pescaldo.
Italy?
He went from France and they moved to Italy and Pescaldo.
Okay, but he didn't come over because of Gus.
Oh, no, no.
He just happened to run into Gus when he was
Yeah,
here.
he was coming. He was going to stay in New York, in fact. And then somehow or other, how he knew that, I can't even tell you that. And he goes, I was just a little kid. And I just kind of picked up some of the things, you know, the big things. But I just, and there's yeah, I know it's going to fall.
I just want to fall.
So the wind will blow it away. Fall on me.
Oh yeah, it's okay. We're not doing anything.
Oh, okay.
Did she get her piece of candy?
Yeah, she's gonna get
You
sick.
want another one? Well, you can give it to Daddy. He can put it in his pocket. Save it for later. How's that sound? I got a bag of them.
I can save one later.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There you go. Go grab it out.
Come over here by Gary. And tell her to take any kind she wants, 2 or 3 pieces. And she
There you go.
You saw her mother, didn't you?
Choose
I
what
showed
you
you her
want.
picture yesterday.
No, oh yeah, no, her mom. Yes, I saw it. Your
Should I
your
have
daughter.
a harder candy?
And her
Okay
brother.
with that?
Yeah, she can have it.
Okay.
Give her a little of everything.
Now, where's her brother?
And she's getting a lot of
My
nothing.
older brother, this is such an old picture. He's 36 now. This is his high school, or his college picture.
Okay.
So that's my older brother.
Does he live around here?
He lives right across in Kentucky. And that's her youngest daughter, Pat. That's an old picture too. That's like 20 years old.
Okay, and this was your mom.
Yes.
She looks just like the Andrea.
Pretty and very sweet.
They look similar, yeah, it's interesting. I never thought that growing up. There's
Well, I mean,
more and
actually,
more.
at least I can see the resemblance. I thought.
She was about, how old? She wasn't.
She was pregnant with Mark in that picture.
Was she with Michael?
Mark.
Mark,
So she was,
that's
she was
right.
25.
That's right. She was a good girl, honey, pretty, sweet. Takes after. She's been very nice to me.
You remind me of my daughters. Oh yeah? You got the same demeanor and all.
How many do you have?
I have 5 girls and 3 boys.
Wow.
Holy cow.
You're like my grandma. She had 15 kids. Of course, she didn't have them over here. She must have had them, you know, some of them over there before she came over.
So she says 15 too.
Yeah, but I don't know how. I mean, maybe she did, but she couldn't have had many over
And
there
Uncle Big
because she was only about 18 when she showed up here.
But
So-
Uncle Big Joe was
And if she
the,
did, they died because she brought them with her.
Why?
You see
he
what I'm
was the
saying?
last one, Uncle Big Joe.
So,
They say she had 15 children, but we can only account for
Just the ones that
around
I know.
around 8 or 9 or
Jerry said, "I don't
something.
have
Well, honey, that's what I'm trying to say. Because she had them over there, you know. She had 15 children, and they can lose them at birth. They didn't have the, going back over 100 years
Yeah.
ago, what they got now. And but the ones that I knew, and she had a daughter, but then she passed away. I had another daughter, I can't think of her name. Darn it. But
Well, there was, I know of the daughter that's buried, but her name's Mary.
Who?
Her name was Mary Comello. She died in 1901.
is go into
You know, the
Mary Comello.
well,
the,
start with
That wasn't my grandma's
start with
daughter.
like maybe 19.
your grandma was
That's the last one.
Her name was Mary Comello.
okay. She had a daughter in 1901.
And then go backwards.
Married only
Yeah, but
lived
before I was even here.
that only lived 1 year.
And only lived, that's what I mean, honey. I think it happened to a lot of them.
If they have an
All I remember is that she had 15, I said 15 children. But the only ones that I knew as I grew older was the ones I told you, Aunt Tracy and my mama.
Back when you, in the 1920s and 30s, you know, when you grew
I
up.
was born in 1960.
So in 36 you were 20.
Yes,
That's right.
So what were your brothers and what were they all like as people? And
My 3 brothers?
yeah, back when you were all older, when you all were just becoming adults.
Let's see. My one brother, Joe, Frank was in, my youngest brother was in like a county, something like Bob here. Or Frankie down here. And he was sort of that kind of stuff. And then Joe went into the tailoring. He liked the tailoring, and he owned a couple, right out here, a couple of, he owned a lady shop, and he owned a,
I didn't know who he
men's shop.
I found one in Philadelphia. I found one in New York.
My father worked with him, helped him
my
when he passed away. If anybody need anything
Oh,
mending,
okay,
he had like a little thing in the back of his store. It's like a, Dillonville is like a shopping center. And then she opened up a ladies shop, very pretty.
Interesting.
And then they moved to Florida. They left here, they were down there 22, 3, 4 years.
Now,
the Comello name.
Big Joe's.
Somebody changed
That's my uncle.
That's your uncle. Yeah.
That was my mother's
Yeah. What
brother.
was he like?
I've heard of 2 reasons
Oh, he
why it
was
might
so
happen.
nice. Uncle Big
One is that
he was neat.
Sicilians
He was a good guy?
He sure was.
They were not cultured.
Now he worked. Did he work at the factory?
And he worked in
What did he do?
Honey, I don't know really what they did. It was a 3-floor, he owned 3 floors of the power building that's down here, not downtown. I don't know if they got it.
Did you ever go down there much?
Me?
The factory?
Yeah, I go down there. And Uncle Gus had a nice office. And right above it, his one son, I don't know which one it was, caught this beautiful swordfish. And he brought it and had it stuffed and he had that up over his desk. Being a kid, I can remember that.
The swordfish.
I think it was Gussie. I think he had a son, Gussie.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. And then I heard he had gone to Florida. And I think he was 99 when he passed away.
Who? Gussie?
Gussie.
No.
I almost was he younger.
No, he was a lot younger. He died in 1966 in California.
The sign is Comello instead of and it just stuck.
Which is the one that he said went to Florida?
I don't have any idea, but I'm thinking that if
See, I get confused. They tell me these things, but when I'm young,
Confuse us too.
might show where the name changed. In other words, if you can go back far enough, you might find
But,
Mary Joseph Comello. Is it Comello or Comello?
What about, so that was
What did they actually have him listed as?
Big Joe, and he had, what was
Tony was
Uncle
the other.
Tony, yeah, what was he like?
I mean, I'm very
He
interested
was
in it. I mean,
very
as a person,
sports-minded.
but yeah,
I told you what he had here. He had the fact that
There are no censuses prior
Jerry
to 1900.
has sent me a picture of the, because I had gotten it, and I sent it to him, and he had pictures made off of it. I got the original of the Comello brothers, the Comello brothers amateur baseball.
Right,
And the next year, and it's he even sent me a tape.
talk about Tony.
Uncle Tony.
Tony's the one that started it, right?
He's the one that started. He
Right.
was good. And there was Uncle Joe that was in it, and Uncle Tony, Little Joe, Eddie Hunter. That was Marie.
Now, weren't there two ball teams? There was the Comello brothers, and then they changed it to the RB after. Was Charlie involved in it, or Gus, or just Joe? Because after
It
one of
was
them
Uncle-
died,
At what? What was it?
because Jerry said something about when one of them died in 1920 something, the team was taken over by Gus because whoever it was that was in charge of it at that time had died. Do you know who that was? Was it Charlie?
It could have been, honey. Uncle Charlie and I, when I was a little bitty kid, he'd take me downtown to the fire departments. He loved the fire department, but he was never married that I know.
No, and he said I think that's what Jerry said yesterday, that Tony started it, and then Charlie sort of took it over. I guess did Tony play on the team itself?
No, he was the coach in
He
the
was the coach.
charge, yeah.
And then how about the other, like
And Uncle
Joe?
Big Joe played like outfield.
So he did play on the team.
Oh yeah, Uncle Joe did.
Big Joe.
I wish I'd have brought that picture.
Big Joe did.
Yeah, I call him Uncle
Yeah,
Joe.
Big
Uncle Big
Joe.
Joe, yeah. He played on the
He
team
played
too.
on it?
And then there was their nephews, Little Joe.
And Little Joe played on
He
it.
played the shortstop. I can tell you where they played. And Eddie Hunter, that was Marie's husband.
How about Cassini? Do you remember Cassini?
Mr. Cassini. The name's familiar, but now
I think he was a pitcher.
Huh?
I went to this is really strange. I went to school with his daughter.
But
And it wasn't
the
until
name is
years
familiar,
later
honey.
that I found out that he was on the ball team. Wow.
Cassini.
Cassini.
Were most of the ball players Italians? No.
But if I look on that the back of that picture, that was the original picture.
Is there a picture? Where's the picture at?
I got a baseball.
Do you really?
The whole baseball was given to me by Marie Hunter's youngest son. He lives out here in Kenwood, some Larchview Lane.
That's what I was going to ask you. What was her daughter? There was Gail. What was her Marie's
Gail's
sister?
daughter.
Gail.
That was her
And
name.
then who else?
Gail, and Richard, and what was that other one's name? He fell off of it, killed himself from falling from a tree.
Oh,
Eddie, was it Eddie? You know something, right now you're asking me a question. I'm trying to think of her damn last name. Eddie Hunter, she married Hunter. He played on the team. Eddie Hunter. But she had, I know she had Gail and
Richard. And another one.
And the other one here lives right out here in Kenwood. But I can't think of the other one. It's Gail, him, and there was two sons and him. I can't think of it.
Now, Gail died in
Florida.
Florida. Did she have children?
No,
She was never married?
not that I know of.
Okay.
I don't think she ever got married. I'm not sure. She was pretty. She was blonde. Very pretty little girl. Young lady.
do you remember going to dinner over on Mooney?
That's where Uncle Gus lived.
Yeah. We didn't know. We wondered how often the family got together for holidays or whatever.
Not too often.
Not every once in a blue moon.
Where he'd have his big parties was down at his office, down at his business. He'd have a big party down there. He'd have music, orchestra, and the people all come dance.
You mean at the factory? At the factory?
Yeah, at the factory, that's it. Yeah, where the tables are now, they sew and that stuff. Pop was a good tip. Now, Uncle Gus I never saw him do any sewing. But, and my father was going to stay in New York, and he says, no, come. He wanted, how I met my father, I'll never know that either, kids. But he's the one why my father came here. And my father kind of...
To Cincinnati?
From Cincinnati, yeah.
I do remember that he was a master tailor. Frank. Frank DeAndre.
The what?
Your dad was a master tailor. I remember them talking about him.
Oh yeah, Papa, my Papa.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could sew. He made me the most beautiful, all by hand. He cut it out, and he made it all by hand. You should have seen that suit. You pay a fortune for it today, honey.
Oh, you couldn't even buy it, I doubt.
Oh no, honey.
Those skills may not. Maybe over in Europe somewhere there might be somebody with those skills. But in this country, who would pay for it?
Fine.
That'd be $5,000 a suit.
I know. Isn't that amazing?
Oh, and all by hand.
Now today you buy a $5,000 suit. It's an Italian suit or something. It's not an American suit.
That's a bunch of.
Get your name.
Oh, okay.
So you're. It's interesting. So I'm just trying to think of some of other Gus's brothers and step.
Uncle Gus did. I didn't know he had any brothers.
Well, he was adopted into the family.
Oh, well,
I mean,
the family here, yeah.
That's what I meant.
The brothers.
Yeah.
Well, those are the ones you're talking about. Uncle Charlie, Uncle Big Joe. Because these were all my nana. I called her Nana. And Uncle Charlie, Uncle Big Joe. Now wait a minute. There was that Teresa, Aunt Teresa, and my mom Anna. What's one more?
Is she telling us that?
Do you know anything about our Nan's last name was Rizzola? You know, Mary Rizzola. That was her name.
Rizzolo, we always
Rizzolo. Rizzolo.
Now he married her.
Yeah, that's right. Do you know much about her and her family? We knew her mom because her mom lived with her for a long time before she passed away. You know, over in Price Hill. She spoke no English, all Italian.
She did?
So she must have come from Italy.
Probably, honey.
If she didn't speak English. Did you ever speak Italian? Did anybody speak Italian around the house?
You want to know something? Pop did a little bit, but not my mother didn't. She was born here. And no.
You said that they weren't allowed.
Well,
somebody wouldn't let.
When we sat at the dinner table, we sat down to eat, and he wanted his 3 sons and me to speak Italian, and she says no, because they were born here, they're Americans, and they're not going to speak
that language.
And then he wanted to take her over a trip one day. She says I didn't lose a thing over there.
Because I don't want to go see it. I've been there. I'm here.
That's right.
And that was Mary. You're talking about Mary.
No, my mom.
Your mom. Now, did you know your grandma?
Oh, yeah.
Mary? No. You're DeAndre.
Well, I didn't know.
But you knew of her.
I did know her. I never met my grandmother and grandfather from over there.
Right. But did you know Joseph Comello's wife?
That was my grandfather on the Comello side.
Right, on the grandfather on the Comello side.
And I did see him very short time.
Yeah, because you were real little. But when his wife died, you were like 12. So do you have any memory of her?
Are you married?
Her name was Mary.
No. How old are you?
28.
Well, must be my grandma.
Yeah. Do you have any memory of her?
Oh, I have a lot of good memories of my grandma. She used to have a dining room table that sat 22, and it was always filled with all of my uncles and friends.
I'm a social worker.
Wow.
And she'd cook.
It's like rehab without
And there was a
walls.
certain thing that she would cook, and she'd fry them in olive oil, and that's called spinach. And you'd make this dough. It's like donuts, saying.
But yeah, I set up I just set up her aid services.
But
so
she always had a house full of
we specialize in traumatic brain injury and strokes and just the rehab. And the
my mother
idea,
was 16 when she got
walls
married.
that it's easier to rehab right on your
Married
own
my
house,
father,
your own
and he
stove,
saw
your
her.
own steps.
And he was.
It's very exciting. So
he was 16.
I'll put my current number.
How old was he?
My mother was voted. They wanted to get the prettiest woman on Columbus Day in the parade, And they picked my mother, and she was pretty. She was.
No, I didn't ever see any pictures of her.
You haven't? I could have brought one.
Never
Well,
saw
it's the
any
one that
pictures.
Carrie, I think, or somebody fixed it for me.
Have you ever seen a picture
Tracy
of Carrie?
did.
This is my Carrie.
You're
Not
a
Carrie. No, she's Carrie. Harry. The one Uncle Gus, his first wife.
Carrie, did you ever see a picture of her?
I saw her. She was blonde hair and
Blonde hair.
yeah, she
We
was.
don't know what happened to her.
Well, she was. I don't know either, honey. I couldn't even tell you. But she got married over again.
That's what we hear. Huh.
I wonder if she stayed in Tucson. If she went to Tucson.
Did she go to Tucson?
I think she did because her sons ended up. I think that's where little Joe ended
You
up.
know more about that kid than I do, then.
And I'm thinking that that's where she ended up in Tucson.
Did when we talk about your grandma Mary, they lived on Observatory.
Yeah, she had a beautiful home.
So you're going to be in a different area.
And I told you,
it's actually
he got
right
her
up the road, so
eight-seated
it's-
Packard. I told you that
Yeah,
yesterday.
so was that okay
It's
that
up
their
the road
son
enough
was
where I have to go to a
buying them all
different
this stuff? I guess it had to
outfits,
have
You
been.
have a,
They were really proud of their son for having.
Yes, KAM
Well, she was at my grandma's son.
924.
She's the one
At
that,
Hotmail?
it was my grandmother that came over here with her.
Right.
And it took him and
And then
took care of
just,
him.
if you do
Yeah, so she
email
had to have been
something,
proud
just
of him.
put
I mean,
in,
she-
like, the
Very
header,
proud of him.
I mean, whether he was her son or not didn't
Comello
matter.
or something, because I get so much.
No, she wasn't that.
Yeah, I get
She
so
didn't
much
care.
bad mail that I just
Right, and
delete
he
it off.
was
I don't
good to
recognize the
her.
name.
Very good to her.
no, so you never really knew much about Mary Comello. You met Mary Comello, though, your
My
grandma.
grandma.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what
I
we're
knew
talking
her,
about.
honey.
Yeah. Oh, okay, you weren't talking about that.
Oh, yeah, I used to go over to her house when she'd make what they call Italian puffy roll, but they're called spingi. And they're like a donut, but they puff up and then put sugar on them. As fast as she'd make them, as fast as everybody come in to take one and eat them. Oh, she'd make them, put them in on these wash basket things. She'd put a towel in it. And I was telling Michael here that at her dinner, she had a dining room her dining room table seated 22 people. And she had a crowd of guys in all the time, cooking for them and all that kind of stuff.
Now, what kind of a lady was she?
My grandma, oh, she was nice. She was nice. Don't let anybody tell you she wasn't. She loved her sons. Well, she loved all of her kids. But she was nice.
Now, her husband died, Joseph. He died when you were like 6. You were only 6 years old.
Yeah,
So that'd be kind of hard to have any memories of.
Yeah,
being
I
6.
didn't know him real well. Nice-looking gentleman, tall. But on my father's side, I didn't know any of them. But one aunt that come over and visited for a while. But I didn't know anybody on my father's side.
Okay, so on your mother's side, you knew the grandma. Now, did she? God, I had a thought in my mind and I can't remember. I had to write these.
On my
questions down.
grandmother's side, you're talking
Huh?
about. You're talking about my grandmother, Comello.
Yeah, Grandma Comello, Grandma
Yeah.
Mary, and oh, do you think that Joseph, her husband, knew about Gus before she got to Cincinnati? In other words, how did she get from New York to Cincinnati when she came over? Did he go back up there to meet her?
My uncle, my grandfather, he came over with her.
No,
But he
came
wasn't
over
really
early.
here that long.
He came over earlier. And then did he go back and get her? Because
that I don't know,
because
sweetheart.
he was here already for a year.
She got the pencil.
Or a year and a half. According to Jerry, he was here for a year and a half before she ever came.
That's how he found
But
Cincinnati.
that probably could be, honey. I really couldn't tell you.
So you're not sure.
I wish I could, but
I'm
I'm
wondering
just wondering if there was any
But
events.
he wasn't here too long, and then he passed away.
Right.
who's that?
My grandfather, Comello, Joe Comello was his name.
Well, actually, no, he was here for 30 years. No.
Joseph?
He didn't die until 1923.
You know more about this than you're asking me questions, honey.
1923, he came over in
Sure.
85.
Well, what I was curious was, we had the ball team and all the events.
You remember the ball team, Michael?
No, I don't. I just seen the movies.
Yeah, I'm going to say
We had the ball team. We had the factory downtown. We had the stores where you could buy suits and things. can you remember any other events that took place? I'm trying to think. What would be an event?
That's a good question.
Something in the 30s. I'm trying to think of people going off to war, but that we weren't in war back then.
What did your father do?
He was a pilot for American Airlines, and then he did some stuff in World War II, and
Yeah, I knew he was a pilot.
and then he came home, and then in the 1940s, he quit flying and went to work at the factory. Then a few years later, he caught polio. Do you remember anything about my dad coming back from the airlines and going to work at the factory?
The only time I'd ever go down there is when Mom would take me, when my father was down there, if they had parties and dances, and I knew an awful lot of them down there, but I was just a little kid.
How long did your dad work at the factory?
He worked there with Uncle Gus for quite a while. I always called him Uncle Gus, for quite a while. And then, I guess, I don't know if, then these two Jewish men wanted to come in and take over. I told you one.
It wasn't Goldberg. It was somebody else.
One was Goldberg, and I can't think of the other one's name to save my soul.
Do you know, was that in the 30s? Were you around 20 then? About how old were you when they were trying to take over?
Carrie, figured out your brain. Well, I'm not.
My mom was born in what, 43?
Mom was born in 43. Yeah, I was born in 42. I was 25 when I got married. I was 25.
So why would they think that they could take over the factory?
I'm glad you had this. This was lovely. Meeting your family and everybody. It was super, Jerry.
Well, we hope that you enjoyed it.
I certainly.
We got, not to interrupt, if you want to carry on here, but to make some other meeting times that are lined up this afternoon, among others for us.
Well, we were going to head and you show us.
Go over to the house.
Yeah, we can call it a night here.
Okay.
Well, she has to leave too because she has things to do.
So you can follow me over there. Unfortunately, you could come in the automobile, except I had to take all the seats of it out so that my wife mate can take paraphernalia back to Carlisle. Of course, we need all of that. We need all of this additional paraphernalia.
Well, why didn't you call me up? I'd have given you one of my limousines.
Well, I want you getting prepared. I want you doing exercises for next year. All right? We'll have you back on the dance floor.
Take a good look at me.
I got a good look at you.
This is it.
Oh,
hey,
stop.
You are wonderful. Look at that. Where'd you park?
Now, would you like
I'm right up front so I can bring the car around.
Thank you so much.
You got it.
Michael, you're a doll.
I don't know. This is 2723 Observatory, where our great-grandfather lived. Died in 1923. Well, we don't need to go in. I don't know that house, madam.
Yes, they had a party back here. You were seeing the party. Yep, right back there.
I'm sure it's a rental.